Folks, this is Great Witchingham in Norfolk. Now that's about 3.5 hours easy drive northeast of London. And this is the home place of John Wilson, one of Britain's best loved anglers. Now he's got the right qualifications to join us, folks. Over 20 books written, countless magazine articles, and a television show into its 12th series. This is a nice place to go fishing right here.
Yeah, I've made a feature here, Rex, of putting lilies all the way around the margins.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult now and again, you get the carp stuck in them, but at least they're features and the carp tend to move about.
Yeah.
And by keeping your rod out, you can always, always land them.
Structures, a bit of cover and feed. Right. It's basic, isn't it? The same thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, a man's home is his castle or castle, whichever part of the world you come from, but a man's home here is his lake. Tell us about this. Was this always here?
No, this particular lake's only 12 years old.
Is it really?
The lake that joins it, 200 yards away, that was dug during the last World War, and for the airfields at Weston, which is about 3 miles away, and it was dug by Atlas Aggregates. And when I bought this property 15 years ago, I asked Atlas Aggregates if there was enough minerals left along this site for them to excavate me a lake. And they said yes, and we did a deal, and 12 and a half, 13 years ago now, I cut down all these trees, 3 acres of small birch reaching to the sky with a bow saw, and the diggers moved in, pulled up the roots, and they excavated the lake just how I wanted it, with islands and promontories and little bays and fish movement areas.
And what about the weed and, of course, the important plant life that is sort of just so important to the real basics of fish habitat?
Yeah, well, I had to plant all that, all the lilies I planted, begged, stolen, borrowed from people.
Yeah.
And I've got 30 species of lilies, and of course all the way along the banks I planted, I think 32 different species of willow trees.
Gee.
About a dozen different types of conifers. I think I planted about 500. Yeah, 500 trees altogether. It seems a lot now, but...
so the basics of fish habitat are cover, food, shelter, that sort of thing, structure so they can sort of feel good. And you've got it all here. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it, Rex, is the fact that the islands, for instance, provide a habitat for wildlife.
Yeah.
You know, us anglers always getting knocked for fishing, aren't we? And yet here we are, fishing venue, but we've provided nesting sites for ducks and geese and stinging nettles and wild shrubs for butterflies and newts and frogs and toads.
Does it spoil you with your love of fishing? You're fishing all over the world like I am for various species of sport fish, yet you've got a fantastic fishery right at your back door.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that. I don't very often fish it myself.
Yeah.
I get a buzz out of having created it and letting other people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't often fish it myself, but it's a lovely place to live.
Now, of course, now that fishing is becoming internationally recognised, particularly through our program, through 109 countries, through Europe and the UK, I read a couple of books that you'd written. I've seen videos of you. Where did the John Wilson public profile start? When you cease being just a private angler?
It's a difficult one to answer, really. I do a lot of writing like you, and I do the videos and the TV, and I started, funnily enough, I spent the first 23 years of my life in a London flat.
Did you really?
Without a garden, without dogs and without animals. And it made me, all the more eager when I made it in life, if I ever made it, to be able to create a piece of natural history and enjoy it on a day-to-day basis. And even though I don't fish it, I walk the dogs around the lakes every day, and it's just,
One thing I've also noticed with the international recognition of fishing, particularly with people like yourself, is in Australia some of the well-worn ways are now being complemented by some of your methods. In other words, instead of using a big barrel sinker for whiting, you might use a block end or an
That's
open end
right.
feeder with plenty of bread or burley, as chum as you call it. And I just think we can all sort of learn off each other. If you fish with a bloke in Russia, you can learn off something off him. If you fish with Les Patterson in Australia, you can learn something off old Les, can't you, eh?
Is that what my wife said to you?
That's what they call me, Les Patterson, I tell you what. Yeah. But we can all learn off each other, and this trip to the British Isles has been just magnificent for us because we're taking back home some new ideas, and I think that's great. When you come to us, you can take some of our
I'm looking
ideas.
forward to it, and it's been great having you as my guest.
Fantastic. John Wilson, alias Les Patterson, not me.